Today with the voyages of Christopher Columbus. Okay, this is someone that I'm sure pretty much every single one of you in this class has heard about before. Um, he's from Italy. Other than that, his background is a mystery to historians. Okay, Christopher Columbus himself is going to tell differing stories about where he was actually from, where he originated from, where he was born, who his family was. What does that mean for us? Uh, what does that mean for historians? That means there's conflicting sources that we cannot resolve. So the truth of this is we really don't know much about Christopher Columbus's early life. Okay, there are rumors that he was actually from a Jewish family. That might speak volumes. That might be a reason why he is going to lie about his origins if he's going to go to these Catholic countries and ask money for a maritime expedition. But the truth of it is, we really don't know. Okay, we do know in his adult life he will be a devout and militant Catholic who very much desires to find a new route to Asia, not only to get access to the spice trade, but also so he can again meet up with these rumored Christian realms and attack the Muslim forces from both sides. So he's very much he's a very strong follower of Catholicism, even to the point where he wants to expand it through the use of force. Okay. Um, and he's the one that's going to propose this plan to sail west to reach Asia. Okay, he's going to go to Portugal, France, and England, and they're all going to refuse him. They're all kind of going to laugh at him. Um, the myth surrounding this is the majority of Europeans thought the world was flat back then. That was not true. Okay, just like there are flat earthers today, there were flat earthers back then, but they were a small group, and everyone kind of thought they were uneducated. It was not a commonly held belief. Okay. Um, Therefore, the question is, why is Portugal, France, and England refusing them? It's because they believe Christopher Columbus to be incompetent. They realize that the circumference of the globe is very large, so they believe that if he sails west, they don't believe he's going to sail off the side of the earth, but they believe he's going to be sailing into the abyss of the Pacific Ocean. They think he's going to sail and sail and sail, and he'll run out of fresh water and food by the time he actually reaches Asia. So they basically consider it a waste of money, a fool's errand, a suicide mission, if you will. They basically believe he's going to sail into the abyss of the ocean and basically end up dying out due to lack of fresh food and water. So he's kind of the laughing stock of Europe. Why does he think he can do it then? It's because he's done his own math and he has actually miscalculated their circumference of the globe. He believes the globe is a lot smaller, and therefore he believes it will not take as long to actually sail around the Earth to get to Asia. So it's this misnomer, this myth that he was really educated and smart, and everyone else was uneducated and believed the world was flat. It's because Christopher Columbus actually was incompetent, that he miscalculated. He was some 10,000 miles off his calculations on the size of the Earth. Okay, he will go to Spain, and Spain, newly reunified, the Reconquista has been completed. Ferdinand and Queen Isabella now rule over all of it. Okay, they're going to become the patrons of Christopher Columbus, which is basically a fancy way of saying they're going to choose to back his voyage. They're going to pay for it. Okay, they're going to give him 3 ships. Okay, they're going to give him 3 caravels. These are the Pinta, the Nina, and the Santa Maria. And in 1492, he's going to leave Spain. He's going to sail west. Okay, it's going to take him 33 days to reach a landmass, and he quote unquote discovers the New World. Okay, he mistakenly believes that it is India. We know today that he landed in modern day Bahama, and got off and was very discouraged, right? He had promised King Ferdinand and Isabella access to spices. He had promised them that he would be incorporated in this Indian Ocean trade in which he could buy cinnamon, pepper, salt. He had also heard rumors of gold mines in Asia, so he's promising them gold. Okay, and he gets to the Bahamas and he doesn't find any of that. Okay, he looks at all the plants. None of those plants are actually things that he can sell. Okay, so he sails a little further south to what he calls Hispaniola. That is modern day Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Okay, they get off there. Same thing. They're looking for the spice trade. They can't find it. They're looking for gold deposits. They can't find it. They interact with the native tribe, the Tano tribe. Again, Christopher Columbus, he calls them Indians because he believes he has reached Asia. He is mistaken in that. Um, and basically, one of his ships, the Santa Maria, runs aground, and he leaves 39 guys behind on it. And he returns to Spain to go tell everyone in Europe that he has found a new route to Asia. Okay, why is Christopher Columbus so important? Okay, because he didn't discover the New World. Okay, the Norse did, the Vikings did in 1000 AD. Okay, Leif Erikson, right? They traveled and actually settled Newfoundland. Okay, um, why is he so famous then? It's because he's the one that allows the New World to become common knowledge. Okay, in 1440, you have the invention of the Gutenberg printing press in modern day Germany. Johann Gutenberg is going to make this printing press that has movable metal type, and that's basically going to make books so much more affordable because they can be now mass produced. They don't have to be copied by hand. Okay, he does that in 1440 when that's kind of roughly technology that the Song Dynasty had in roughly 1000 AD. Okay, so again, Europe's playing catch up with industry. Okay, Christopher Columbus is going to write a book all about his travels and his journeys, and he's going to write about everything that he saw and the different types of plants and the different wildlife. Okay, again, in this book, he outlines that he found a new way to Asia. Okay, this becomes the bestseller in Europe. Okay, in 1493 alone, when it's originally published, it goes through 9 different editions. That's how quickly it is selling out. By the year 1500, he's gone through 20 editions. Okay, so basically, he's famous because after Christopher Columbus's voyage, he's not the first one to find it, but he's the one that makes it common knowledge in Europe. Because of the printing press is going to allow this knowledge to diffuse across the continent. Okay. Um, it's also famous because with this discovery, the Americas are now going to be open to European colonization, right? Which is going to allow the Western world to ascend and become the dominant factor in world history. We're gradually going to see it hasn't happened yet, but kind of in the 1700s, we're going to look at the Atlantic is going to become the center of world trade. It will no longer be the Indian Ocean, which is going to allow Western civilization to surpass in power and influence the Eastern world. Okay, um, this is why he's so famous. We just had Columbus Day. We had it off. It's been renamed Indigenous Peoples Day because of all the horrible things that he's going to do, which we're about to talk about here. But that's pretty significant. In the United States, he's one of the few people that has a federal holiday named after him, and he's the only non-U.S. citizen to have a federal holiday named after him, which is pretty significant that he's going to put in motion this event in world history that's going to allow the West to transcend and surpass the Eastern world, and later the West will include the United States. That's why I'm saying the West and not just Europe. Okay. Um, Basically, because Christopher Columbus, the next 500 years of world history is going to be really ruled and dictated by Europe and later the United States, which is going to be extremely significant. That is a change we're seeing in history, where in the past, in period one, we were looking at it was the Eastern world, it was the Middle East, and it was China that were determining really kind of what was happening. Okay, so this is going to be a huge event, and we're now really just beginning to see China kind of undo what Christopher Columbus kind of laid the foundation for. Okay. Christopher Columbus is going to return to the New World. You see here, he's going to take 4 voyages. Okay. On his second trip, okay, he's really going to come to colonize, right? He's going to bring a whole bunch more men. He's going to bring livestock. He's going to bring plows. He's going to bring seeds for various plants. Okay, he's basically going to bring anything and everything he needs in order to actually set up a colony here. The only thing they don't bring is women. Okay, which is going to be very ironic. Again, he promised Ferdinand and Isabella wealth, and he's not able to deliver it. Okay, so he's going to come here. He's going to turn to Hispaniola. He finds that his crew is dead. He uses that as justification to enslave the native Taino people. Okay, this was against Spanish law, which is something that we'll be talking about pretty frequently here. Spanish law outlawed slavery. Unless it was in just wars, quote unquote. So he's basically, again, Ferdinand and Isabella, 33 days on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. He's just going to basically say, well, they killed the 39 guys that left behind, therefore this is a just war. He enslaves them. Okay. So the first thing he sends back to Spain, thinking that he can pay back Ferdinand and Isabella, is actually 550 slaves. Okay. Every single one of them will die before that ship reaches Spain. Okay. They had not been exposed to European germs and European diseases, which is going to be a big theme that we're going to talk about later, that they're going to die out because they have not been exposed to these germs. Okay? The rest of the natives will be taken and enslaved to work on sugar plantations that will be owned by Christopher Columbus and his men. He's basically going to establish a colony. Okay, this is kind of the origin of what will become known as the Encomienda system. We'll talk about that much later because it's technically not called that until later, but this is kind of the seed of it, the start of it, the fact that in the New World and the Caribbean, plantations are gonna be formed. Okay, that's what's happening to the men slaves. The female slaves are basically forced into sex slaves. Okay, you're having massive rape of the native Taino women here. Okay, you're going to have children born of mixed descent from this. Okay, many Native American families learn about what the Spanish are doing here, and they will choose to kill their kids before they kill themselves to avoid being sold into slavery. Okay. And as he's doing this, he is continuing to outright lie to the Spanish crown about the gold. Right? He says, "Yes, we found it. We're just having issues getting the natives to dig for it, or we're having issues loading it onto the ship. But I promise you, it's here. It's in Hispaniola." Okay, he's lying through his teeth to King Ferdinand and Isabella. Okay, so the second trip, he still hasn't found anything of value that he can send back to Spain for immediate profit. Okay, because it's going to take time for them to build up these sugar plantations. Okay, the third trip is finally when he actually does find something of value. Okay, you see, he goes someplace completely different here. He goes to northern South America, modern day Venezuela. Okay, they're along these coasts and they come in contact with these natives wearing strings of pearls. Some of these pearls are as large as hazelnuts. Okay, so basically, finally, he's found something that is rare that he can take, that he can barter for or steal from the natives and send back to Spain. That is something they can sell in Europe for immediate profit. Okay, so finally, he's kind of a failure up till this third trip. Okay, putting this in perspective, these pearl fields off the coast of modern day Venezuela back then. Okay, you're going to have several pearls that are found. The most famous one will be found in 1513. It's known as La Perenginina. Okay, this is known as the Pilgrim Pearl. You see it pictured here. Okay, it's a very famous pearl. It's the most famous pearl found in these pearl fields. Okay, it's sent back to Spain where it becomes part of the Spanish crown jewels. So the queen would be allowed to wear it. Later in history, you see pictured here, this is Queen Mary of England. It will be given to her as a gift. Upon Mary's death, it'll be given back to Spain. In the 1800s, Napoleon Bonaparte will invade Spain. He will take it. Once he loses at the Battle of Waterloo, before he is sent to exile, he sells it in England. Okay, In 1969, Richard Burton, a famous Hollywood actor, is going to buy it for $38,000 and gift it to his wife, Elizabeth Taylor here, who is another famous Hollywood actress. You might have heard of Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. They starred in a very famous flop that became a huge success later on, known as Cleopatra, in which Elizabeth Taylor played the Queen of Egypt and Richard Burton played the famous Roman named Mark Antony, which are two historical figures we talk about in this class. It's a great movie if you haven't seen it. They were kind of like the couple back then in Hollywood, Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. It's kind of the equivalent of like Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce today. That was everyone was following their marriage and then their divorce. Okay, she will pass early 2000s, and after her death, this pearl is going to sell for $11.8 million. Okay, so again, Christopher Columbus, he finally in the New World finds something that he can turn around and sell. Okay, he will return to Spain, and despite actually finding something he can sell, the monarchs are going to revoke his executive authority. That's a fancy way of saying they basically fired him. They gave him a contract that said whatever territory that you find in the New World, you will basically become the governor of it. You will get to control it. You will get to rule it on our behalf. Okay, basically you'll claim it for Spain, but you'll be in charge. In the year 1500, they fire him. Okay, they're tired of his lies. They now realize he's been lying through his teeth, and they're also tired with the fact that he's not listening to them. Right? They said, "Don't enslave the natives," and he's enslaving the natives. Something we're going to look at in great depth later and talk about is Queen Isabella was very adamant that slavery would not exist in the Spanish colonies. That was something that she strongly believed, and he's doing the exact opposite of his own monarch's wishes. Okay. Despite that, he will take a fourth trip. He will find finances elsewhere. Okay, and he finally actually kind of reaches modern day Panama, Guatemala, and Mexico, and he begins to hear rumors of these huge Native American cities with vast amounts of gold. Okay. And we know those cities are the Aztecs and the Incas, so those civilizations. Okay. He never reaches them. Okay, he will quickly die into the 1500s. Christopher Columbus, on his deathbed, believes he still found a route to Asia. 1506, he passes. Okay, um, and he's basically on his deathbed. He's still believing, hey, look, I found a new way to Asia, and pretty much everyone in Europe by this time period is like, yeah, man, we're happy you believe that, but we know that you in fact didn't find a new route to Asia. You're totally wrong. Okay, so he's continuing to believe his own lie that he found a new route to Asia, and pretty much everyone else is hearing about his journeys and his travels, and they're like, yeah, this is a different continent, man. This isn't Asia.